Dylan had kind of, I don't want to say run its course. It's just, as artists and stuff, you want to start thinking different ways of going. I took a year off after that. I did absolutely nothing for a year because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Because even leading up to that with Bob, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I'd done everything you could possibly do with one guy, I mean, really. So I took a year off, and I happened to be in San Francisco. I went to Tower Records, and right above Tower Records, up the street, was this office that belonged to Journey. And Journey, I knew those guys because they used to be in Santana, and they were old friends. So I went to just stop by to say hi, and they had started a video company. It was called Nocturne, and they had a lighting company called Nightmare. So they're quite the esoteric group. And so they said, oh, we knew you were a photographer. We're looking for a cameraman to go out on a video tour. And I said, oh, that sounds cool. He said, great, come in tomorrow and we'll show you how to use a video camera. And I said, sure, because that's one thing I learned. You always say yes, no matter what it is. So I went in and they said, we don't really need a cameraman, we need a director. I said, I'll do that. I didn't know what that meant either. He said, great, because can you fly next week to, where the heck was it, Tulsa, where the equipment is, and you can learn how to use a switcher. I had never even heard that word before. Switcher to me, was something you turn lights on and off with. Well, I said, sure. So I flew to Tulsa, and they had all this gear set up, and I looked at the switcher, and I immediately related that to an audio board. It's just a bunch of faders. So I started doing that. I said, oh, this camera comes on if I do this. This camera comes on if I do that. I said, oh, I can do this. The next day, flew to Akron. It was the Simon and Garfunkel tour. That's where I started doing video. So that was 83. The next year, 84, this is really about all the people you know. George Travis, who was one of my truck drivers on the Dylan tour, is Bruce Springsteen's production manager. And he told me they were thinking about using video. And I says, well, give these guys a call. And they wanted me to do it because I knew, the people. And that's why I started. So in 84, it was the Born in the USA tour. I was the video director for the whole tour. And so that was a year on the road. And some of the videos was the Born to Run video, which is kind of my favorite video for anything. The War video and the My Hometown video. My Hometown was the last single from the Born in the USA album. And so they wanted something. So I had shot the whole tour. So I had tons of tape. So I put that together real quick, and they released that. And they said, well, what else you got? And that's when I became editing for about a year and a half of stuff, from the whole tour. And, the War video came out, and the we just shot in one day in LA at the Coliseum. We had started the tour doing sheds, which are basically amphitheaters. By the time we finished, we were doing 5 nights at the LA Coliseum. So that's like 80,000 people a night from a shed to that. That's how big Bruce had become that year. The budgets we had for videos was non-existent. At the time when we had Michael Jackson's video, I think it was Thriller, and that was a multi-million-dollar thing. I spent $10,000 on the War video. And we just threw it together. I gave it to Bruce in New York at his office. They looked at it once and said, release it. That was it. And there were no changes, nothing. So, the confidence I get from people, in what my work is my reward. It's not like it's a money thing, because it never was a money thing. But if I can relate to an artist relates to my work, I'm good. So that's where I kind of ended up with my video world.